Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I apologize if I sound a little off today. I'm currently battling a bit of a cold. Regardless, I wanted to discuss today the recent information that came out regarding Capcom and their views on mods and the modding of their games, and that they consider all game mods to be no different than game cheats, and that mods can cause, quote, reputational damage to Capcom. This story was first brought to people's attention by Eurogamer, where someone over at that publication was watching the video titled Regarding 2023 Anti-Cheat and Anti-Piracy Measures in PC Games Recommendations for In-House Production. Bit of a mouthful, but that video was posted on the Capcom R&D YouTube channel on October 25th of this year. The audio itself is in Japanese, but a good English translation is provided within the video itself down at the bottom of the screen. Now, the presenter, Taro Yahagi, who is a Capcom security engineer, is presenting this as an argument or opinion to Capcom based on a security engineer's perspective, and as such, whether or not this security engineer's perspective is the currently adopted mindset of Capcom remains to be seen. However, given Capcom's stance within the industry, it wouldn't really surprise me in the least if this overly corporatized mindset is the adopted stance of Capcom as a whole. However, if this mindset were merely an engineer's perspective that, viewed through the lens of their anti-cheat and anti-tamper suites, mods cannot be differentiated from actual cheats themselves, this would be an entirely different discussion. So let's run through what Taro Yahagi had to say regarding mods within that video. Now, in it, he states, another inseparable part of PC gaming is mods. Mods are popular with users because they allow them to add or change various features to an existing game. However, for the purposes of anti-cheat and anti-piracy, all mods are defined as cheats. That is to say that mods that are not officially supported by the game are impossible to distinguish from cheat tools implementation-wise. We will discuss the effects of these mods that are the same as cheats. The majority of mods can have a positive impact on the game. Some mods, however, can be detrimental to the company, both in terms of reputational damage and in terms of workload. There are a number of mods that are offensive to public order and morals. When these are disseminated, the image of the product is tarnished and branding is affected. And I want to pause there and say that the quote-unquote reputational damage that Yahagi is talking about there is most likely in regards to an incident back in July of this year where a Corner to Corner, which is a weekly online Street Fighter VI tournament, where the tournament host had accidentally left their nude Chun-Li mod active, which led to some predictably hilarious results while the two combatants, who were none the wiser, continued to battle it out. That may not be definitively what Yahagi was referring to, but let's face it, there's a very strong likelihood that is the case. Yahagi continues, also these offensive mods may be mistaken for legitimate implementations and can cause reputational damage. Some malicious mods can also destroy the game by cheating. In the worst case, they can cause freezes and corrupt save data. If you have a mod that destroys your data and you contact our customer support, they will have a difficult time investigating the issue and will spend a lot of time working on it. Even if the cause of the problem is found, there's nothing that can be done about it. This situation can cause delays in the production of the game. Furthermore, it causes delays in support for users who are not using the mod. As the customer support load increases, it will eventually circle back around and affect development costs. And I have to interject here again because this puzzles me a little bit. Granted, I'm sure it's possible and even likely that someone, somewhere, would be brain dead enough to actually contact Capcom customer support for freezing issues or save data corruption as a result of their mods, but I would genuinely be curious to know just how much of Capcom's budget for game support ends up going to situations such as that. I can't imagine it would be a noticeable amount, as the vast majority of people that use mods, at least those that I'm aware of, tend to be people that self-diagnose, and the general understanding is that if stability or data integrity issues surface, mod users tend to look at what mods they have installed, and even what order they're installed in, as a first step and not a last. Now he continues, creating a high-quality game needs all the budget it can get. If development costs are affected, the quality of the game will decline. This will lead to a drop in sales and loss of revenue, as well as disappointment among users. This is not a situation anyone wants to be in. In other words, anti-cheat and anti-piracy measures are very important to protect the company's future profits and reputation. Now, I've said this numerous times in the past, and I don't mind saying it 1,000 more times if that is what it takes for companies like Capcom to finally get it. Now, if Yahagi has the actual data in terms of dollars and cents to prove that mods create some sort of undue burden on the game developers, I would absolutely love to see that. But mods within gaming have only ever been a net positive to the industry. Hell, Bethesda is still a prime example of that. It is a well-known and often joked about situation that Bethesda never properly fixes the bugs in their games because modders will do it for them. In addition, Bethesda games maintain that gold standard of modding access that have led to a very large amount of their games' popularity over the years. To say that mods make games better is an understatement. Mods can be used to fix bugs, introduce new weapons and gear, introduce entirely new story and character arcs, make graphical improvements, fixes, and outright visual upgrades, and yes, they can be used to break the balance of the game as well. Mods can be whatever they are designed for, and invariably there will be some bad along with all of the good, but as long as mods maintain that balance of being of greater benefit than detriment to the games they are made for and the players that use them, they're not going to go anywhere. Mods have been around since the early 80s and have done both incredible and amazing things. Recall that Dota 2 started life as a Warcraft 3 mod. DayZ was an Arma 2 mod. Hell, Half-Life 2 spawned numerous video games that started off as mods for it, such as The Stanley Parable, Gary's Mod, No More Room in Hell, Nuclear Dawn, Fistful of Frags, and so much more. Hell, Gary's Mod, a game that was a mod of another game, spawned its own game that was a mod for it, named Tower Unite. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds started its life as an Arma 3 mod and grew to eventually turn hundreds of thousands of people into gambling addicts, showing us that even people who don't like soccer games love to gamble too. Now, I myself have lost count of how many games mods have made it easier to go back to and enjoy years or even a decade plus later, thanks to the texture and graphical improvements and bug fixes modders had made for those games over the years. Modders improve the lifespan of the game and improve the enjoyment we as players have with the games. They allow us to pick and choose what new content we want to include in those games. They even sometimes fix our games for us where the developers like Capcom don't. Now, to make such blanket statements regarding mods is to say they cause reputational damage because a few people are stupid enough to contact customer support if their mod happens to break something, or if a single mod happens to cause a lack of clothing incident during an online tournament, is every bit as foolish as it is tone-deaf and myopic. It is deliberately throwing away the vast ocean of good because of a tiny puddle of bad, where that puddle of bad can be simply joked about and walked on past as opposed to addressed directly as some sort of large threat. Suffice to say, Capcom has done nothing to impress me in recent months. First their statements regarding the price of their games, and now their statements about modding. One would think that would cause far more reputational damage to Capcom and their game's image than anything a mod might do. But what do I know? I'm just a mook with a mic. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.